Bonjour tout le monde. Comment allez-vous? Good
Hello,
morning,
everyone.
everybody.
How are
Bonjour
you?
et radu. Thank you, Elder. How did I do? Yeah, thumbs up. Thumbs up. Thank you, Ganaswang. Elder Dear. Hey, vous êtes venus. You made it. The 2024 Workforce Summit is underway. Give yourselves a round of applause. Je viens juste de demander à Paul Thompson comment
I
quand on a
just
commencé à
asked
parler de
Paul
cette idée.
Thompson
Il a
when we
dit,
started talking
Ministre
about this
Randy, I've been
idea.
here. So look, if we talk
It,
about government being fast or not so fast, that's pretty fast in government time to think about this at the beginning of 24 and to have all of you here rassemblés à Montréal pour discuter du 21e siècle et notre main d'œuvre. I want to acknowledge
to get together here in Montreal to talk about manpower. Nous sommes sur les terres traditionnelles des Haudenosaunee, des Hurons-Wendat, des Abenaki et des Anishinaabe. Thanks everyone for having met this challenge. You saw a slide on the slide, collaboration.
On a tous la capacité de collaborer.
Whatever the perspective of the workforce, we can develop a better system for our workers.
I want to thank all those of you from coast to coast to coast watching online. For the first time in 12 years, civil society, experts, leaders, business professionals, academics, government officials, people of all stripes have come together to tackle the changes facing our workforce today and to align on how to build a 21st century workforce here in Canada. And I want to thank Paul Thompson, my deputy minister, and senior ADM Skills and Employment Colette Kaminsky for the heroic events of not just getting us to this space today, but putting this workforce together. Let's give them a round of applause. Veuillez applaudir mes collègues de la fonction publique. I know there were sleepless nights, and I can tell you that they pulled it off. I do want to go straight into my remarks because this is about you and it's about our workforce. Friends, since 2015, our government has taken generational steps to transform our economy in ways that I had not seen before, and I turned 54 this summer. We retooled how we build homes in this country. We've transformed our industrial sector. Think life sciences, biomanufacturing, think hydrogen, and we built an entire EV supply chain. Don't take my word for it, just talk to Bloomberg. #1 in the world, and that's after supply chains were laid bare by the disruption of the pandemic. We made historic investments in healthcare so Canadians can live healthy lives and be in the workforce. And we retooled social programs to remove barriers to participation to allow more people to join the workforce than ever before. That means childcare, pharmacare, dental care. And so we did all this retooling. And then, wait a second, there's one thing we didn't retool. We haven't yet fundamentally retooled how we train people and connect them to the workforce to meet the scale of ambition that we've set for our economy. Mes chers amis, nous avons des défis auxquels il va falloir faire face.
My dear friends, we have a lot of issues that we're going to face rapidly. We're talking about the aging population.
And talking about digital and AI and about and everything that is happening in Canada and elsewhere in the world about decarbonization.
Or we won't have a planet to inhabit. The planet will be fine, we just won't be. And so that is our generational challenge. Il faut aussi faire face au fait que on a plus de retraités maintenant que de
we have a lot of retirees and workers. Et donc
they're here and they're interested in this space. But friends, think about 20 years ago when we had 6 workers for every retiree. Now we're at 3 to 1, and that number is going down. We also have a shrinking trades pool. I can tell you, and our friends from the union movement in this room have heard me say this before. Sean, I know you're here somewhere. Mario, I see you. Friends, we have 400,000 skilled trades retiring in the next 7 years and another 200,000 to 300,000 that we need because of the scale of our ambition. So we have to esteem trades in a way in this country that we have never done before. Now, what do we have a challenge? Well, we got some legacy systems that were built in the 1990s. that are no longer up to the challenges that we need to face the workforce of today. Back then, in the 90s, the people in charge assumed that labor supply would always be plentiful. They also assumed that governments would automatically collaborate and coordinate, and they thought absolutely that markets would always be able to connect people to employment. Well, clearly that didn't happen, and that approach hasn't worked. Even in this very mandate, when we were at historically low unemployment levels and people said we were at full employment, the reality is we had 1 million persons with disabilities not in the workforce. And if they were underemployed. And to Elder Deer's perspective, way too many people from the Indigenous communities out of work and no prospect to actually connect to work. And I saw it on the Slido, generational anxiety among youth. And I saw somebody in one of the questions said youth equity and give youth hope. And so, my friends, I hope that today at this summit and tomorrow at the working table, we can come up with the ideas that are going to help us to respond to that generational challenge. And these facts tell me and others, and I think it's why you're here, that we need change, and we need change quickly. We need a shared approach, and we need one that brings government, industry, trades, and everyone together heading in the same direction to build the workforce of the 21st century. Because, my friends, if we do not change things together, we're just going to share a lot of heartache. The heartache of wasted our talent, squandering investments made, having the #1 country for foreign direct investment per capita in the world. That's never happened before in my lifetime. I don't know if it happened in yours. And I want to see us have an increase in wages, not fewer wages. And I do not want the social programs on which senior Canadians rely to be eroded. And so there is another way, and that's of meeting the moment, one of shared commitment and collaboration. Et c'est pourquoi nous sommes réunis à travers le pays, ici à Montréal aujourd'hui.
And that's why we're here together, because you are the best thinker in this domain, and we need you, and the country needs you, that you can think and really develop an employment system for the 21st century workforce.
But my friends, here is the puzzle that I hope we can solve. 1.2 million people out of work and over 500,000 vacancies. How is that possible? Why is it not just 700,000 people out of work and we go find more jobs? The highways and byways that connect people to opportunity no longer match up. I noticed skills mismatch on Slido. And in the United States, if we take a look at Julie Su and what the Biden administration are doing, is they are fundamentally retooling the ways that people find jobs and the way that people are supported in those jobs. And if we take a look at the newcomers, I saw immigration on the Slido as well. Our foreign credentials recognition program is working, but my friends, we need to boost it even more. I'll give you an example. Last January, we put $90 million into the system, and that helped us get 6,600 internationally trained healthcare providers into the workforce in Canada. C'est un calcul, hein? 6,600 par 90 millions. Mais la réalité, c'est que ce sont nos amis, les provinces, qui ont les pouvoirs et les territoires qui ont les pouvoirs d'accueillir ces gens-là. Et dans un monde où le talent a gagné, c'est critique que les gens qui ont des habilités d'outre-mer aient la capacité de pratiquer leur talent ici au Canada, peu importe que ça soit dans un média syndicalisé ou non. Fewer and fewer people have a career for life. Part-time work, gig work, flexible work means workers need to have more careers and more transitions more often. Toutes les provinces et territoires font face à des défis en ce qui concerne l'éducation, la formation et le reclassement. Nous devons travailler en étroite collaboration avec les provinces et territoires afin de trouver de nouveaux moyens d'encourager le changement dans leur juridiction. And if, as a country, we're going to build towards a net zero future, our workers must have access to training right from the start that helps them to work in the green economy so that they don't have to retrain later. Because as Sean Strickland and others, even my brother who works in this field say, we are happy to build green, show us how to do it, and a carbon capture use carbon capture stack, we're happy to build that just as much as we are happy to build the heavy upgrader. Ils veulent les emplois, peu importe, la formation, c'est critique. So let's talk solutions, my friends, because that's why we're here. I want to throw out a few solutions, and I see my parliamentary secretary, Eric Kuzmerichuk, is here. My great friend from caucus, Julie Zerowitz, is here. You will see Minister Richie Valdez later today, Minister McKinnon. Colleagues, this is a full government imperative to make sure that we build the 21st century workforce. Now, I think there are a few people in this room that like sectoral workforce councils. I see Phil Mondor over there. I see others. Friends, I hear you. I like them as well. My challenge is let's make sure that they are effective for the 21st century and that they tie right to the local community and show people how they can connect to jobs in that community. Let's look to the South and the Biden administration and the Inflation Reduction Act. And I talked to Julie Sue about this when we were at an international meeting together, and we followed up since. They have deployed a dozen workforce hubs across their country. They literally see an industry that is sprouting up. They drop the training right into that community. I'll give you an example. Did you know that on Parliament Hill, when we started to rebuild the center block, we didn't have enough stonemasons in Canada? On n'avait pas assez de maçons pour faire une reconstruction de 10 ans des édifices du centre du Parlement. Donc, on a demandé des gens très doués de l'Écosse de venir s'installer ici au Canada. We put them at Algonquin College. They have now trained 1,000 stonemasons. Canada now has a complement of 1,000 stonemasons. And when those Parliament buildings are done, they're just going to keep working on the rest of the buildings in Parliament Hill and across the country. Think about that. How do we have the equivalent of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 workers trained on site to do the things that we need them to do? And they are also making sure that workers who are historically left behind, women, persons with disabilities, racialized people, actually have access to those jobs. On m'a parlé aussi des données. Julie, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you about data, and I'm thinking about Steve Tobin, who's somewhere here in the room. And there he is. Hi, Steve. And I can't tell you how important it is to get data and to work with data and to develop more data and to challenge the models that we have and to share that data faster and more efficiently at the local and regional levels. It is not acceptable that an MP can't go pull up data for their city or their region and they can only rely on data at the national level. Le temps, c'est maintenant pour avoir une réforme majeure des systèmes de données. And I know we can do it because Paul and I did it when we were at tourism, and it changed the way that the tourism sector worked in this country. Quatrièmement, le système d'assurance emploi. Et je sais qu'il y a des partisans dans la salle. Je sais qu'il y a des gens beaucoup plus doués que moi. Je vois Pierre Serré quelque part dans la salle et d'autres gens. And friends, we need an EI system that is responsive to economic shocks and to all the challenges that are coming from climate change disruption. Je suis à l'écoute et soyons vraiment précis en ce qu'on propose pour le marché du travail. And then we looked over at the European Union, because before us, they got to 22% youth unemployment. Every single country in the European Union has passed a youth guarantee. The International Labor Organization has studied it. There's a great report on it. It literally said to youth, 25 to 30, depending on the country, that you either have access to a job or the state will guarantee you training to get a job. Je vous pose la question, mes chers amis. Ça a l'air de quoi en garantie jeunesse?
I'm asking you the question. What can we do? How can we work with the unions? How can we work with to guarantee that the youth can have the formation for the next employment, the next workforce?
Millennials are now 50% of the workforce. We owe it to them to see a path to a brighter future. Now, I know Noel's going to come up here in a bit, and just so you know that we're doing our part, on fait des investissements majeurs dans le système de...
We are doing major, we like investing a lot in workforce.
And we're all in the room to find new solutions, and I want you to know that Future Skills has my full backing, and I love the partnerships that they're creating. And so, chers amis, employers, members of civil society, professeurs, institutions de formation, syndicalistes, amis, on a besoin de vous. We need you to come together today
We
and
need
over
you.
the coming days and weeks and months so that we can develop these solutions. And yes, I know they're watching. The provinces and territories, you have the essential levers on education and on advanced education. We are not going to build a 21st century workforce without you. We need you. We will work with you. And we want a shared commitment, my friends. I think Earl mentioned that I was special advisor to the Prime Minister on 2S LGBTQI matters for a number of years in my first mandate. I can tell you, queer people just want to get to work like everybody else. Il n'y a rien de mal là-dedans. Si j'ai un arc-en-ciel au-dessus de ma tête,
So
ça change rien.
I have a rainbow over my head. It doesn't change anything. I just want to have a normal life like everybody else. And it's the same for people with handicapped people. It's the same with racialized people, and it's the same for indigenous people. And we can create a workforce that would attract everyone.
Canada Retraining and Opportunities Initiative that is open for applications today. And this initiative is part of our government's response to situations where significant job losses shake up a community. Communities have their own distinct ways of coming together to support individuals during such times. And this program is going to put our government's best foot forward to help them. Chers amis, there is no one way to build the 21st century.
Donc, il n'y a pas qu'une seule façon de construire.
To find the best way for Canada.
There is another way to build the modern 21st workforce. So we can.
And I have a lot of front.
So
That's a French joke.
yeah, it's a fine joke. I have a lot of forehead.
Talk about the translation later.
Donc,
We need to gain the confidence back of young people so they know that their employment aspirations will be met. We need to massively upscale the number of sustainable jobs so that we can meet the climate change imperative of our day. And we need to account for the mega trends of digitization, of aging population, of decarbonization, and AI, which will, whether we like it or not, continue to shift our economic priorities. And mes chers amis du système des PME, vous êtes chers à mon cœur. I know how important you are.
and so, my dear friends from the small and medium enterprise, you need to learn how to train people.
As a whole country to raise our productivity levels, or our own future will be challenged. So that's a lot of ambition. That's a lot of blue sky thinking. And I may have a long title, but I shortened it, as Paul knows, to the Minister of Jobs. And look, everybody brings something different to this role. Moi, je suis rassembleur et je suis passionné des résultats.
So
That
I
means
am
like
passionate
to do
results.
better when I drive the results. And I know that Canada is uniquely positioned to seize this moment. Et on a les meilleures personnes du pays dans la salle pour faire ce travail.
And we have the best people in the country to do that.
Bâtissons des ponts entre les gens ici dans la salle.
So we are
Partagez
bridges.
vos idées.
So share your ideas, be bridge between,
Network and then network
find
together.
solution.
Friends, it's time to get to work. So let me end with this. Come to the edge. It's too high. Come to the edge. We are afraid. Venez vers le bord. They
Come
came.
to the age.
and
Ils
he
sont venus.
pushed, and they flew. I can't wait to see how high workers